Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to work on 5 different receiving skills that you can use as a winger to beat your defender. Just before we get into them, I want to say a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where I built my website, 7mlctraining.com, and from websites to analytics to marketing tools, they're all in one place to grow your online presence and manage your business. But let's get into it. So the 5 first touch skills we're going to work on today are going to be really valuable in a very common situation you'll find yourself in as a winger. The scenario is when your central midfielder has played you the ball out wide and the opposition fullback is pressing you aggressively, so you don't have the time or space to get the ball under control, face them up and go at them 1v1. Instead, we're going to use some deceptiveness in our body movements to beat them in just 1 or 2 touches while they're aggressively pressing and using their momentum against them. So the first situation we found ourselves in is the ball's coming out wide and we want to take the ball down the line. So to create that space when the defender's pressing us aggressively is to fake that we're going inside. By throwing a body feint to the inside, making that defender press, we can then create space on the outside to push the ball down the line. So as you can see here, I've placed down some cones. This is just acting as the sideline, and I'm just receiving the ball from the wall here, acting as my central midfielder playing me the ball. So the movement we're going to work on to begin with is playing the ball at the rebounder, and then we're going to step across the ball. So really drop the knee, drop the shoulder. That's going to convince the defender that we're going to take the ball inside. And then we need to be comfortable letting that ball roll across our body and then push the ball with the inside of that furthest foot away. So let's look at it here. We let it come across our body and then push down the line. So focus on technique only to begin with, overemphasizing drop of the knee and the drop of the shoulder and a clean touch down the line. And then once you're confident with those actions, start to add some intensity and match realism to it. So once we're confident, fire it in, step and push. The second first touch skill really complements the first one. So if we've mastered that first skill and the defender is now starting to read that we want to take the ball down the line, we can add the second skill to our locker so that we can remain unpredictable and still have options to get out of trouble in a match. So the second skill we're going to work on, it's a very similar setup. We're receiving the ball from the central midfielder. This time we're going to make it seem like we're going to take the ball down the line. So we're opening up our hips, showing the inside of our foot, to make the defender believe we want to push this ball down the line. Most defenders will start to block that entrance, shift across, and then we can take the ball in the opposite direction. So this is something Toni Kroos uses all the time, but we can actually use this as a winger and it's still very effective to get the ball on the inside of the defender. So here's the movement. Ball comes in, we open up, and then snap it back across. What's really important is there's a change of tempo between that opening up and the snap inside. We want to catch that defender off guard and then exploit that and take the space on the inside. So the ball comes across, act like we want to take the line, and then we take the ball on the inside. So work on the technique slowly, allow the ball to come across, snap the ball to the inside, and then once you've got the technique down, then we can start to accelerate after the movement and make it more match realistic. So let it come across, snap, and off we go. For the third first touch skill, we're going to work on freezing our defender. So if we can make our opponent stop for just a split second and get them on their heels, that's the perfect opportunity to then push the ball past them. Because they're in a non-athletic position, it's very difficult for them to recover, and by the time that they do, we've already accelerated away. So instead of beating the defender with our first touch this time, we want to get the ball under control, tight to us, to freeze our opponent. So as the ball comes in from our central midfielder, we're going to stop the ball right underneath our feet, which is going to make the defender stop. And then what's really key here is we take an immediate second touch with the outside of that same foot. So we've got the defender to stop, and now we're shifting the ball out of their line of control. So we play the ball in, touch, shift, and now we have the line to operate down. So making sure the action between our inside touch and outside touch is almost simultaneous. So we play the ball, touch, touch, and down the line. So as with all of these, we focus on the technique to begin with. So getting that ball tight underneath our feet and facing up against our opponent. That's step 1, where we want the ball close to us. Step 2 is shifting the ball outside of the defender's line. So it's a quick touch with the inside and then a quick touch with the outside. So we've shifted it into a new lane. Now we've got this space. Now the defender's going to start to recover, which is when we then push the ball down the line and immediately accelerate. And once we've got the technique all together, then we start to add more intensity to it. So push the ball in, step, step, and off we go. For the fourth skill, we're gonna work on freezing our opponent once again. But this time, instead of taking the ball to the outside, we're gonna take the ball to the inside. So the setup is exactly the same as skill number 3, receiving the ball, getting the ball under control, tight to our body. Tight enough so we don't invite pressure from the defender and we make them freeze. And then what we're gonna do is a slight body feint, make it seem like we're gonna take the ball with the outside of our foot. So if we graze the ball, make it seem like we're gonna push the ball with the outside of our foot, but then we drop our knee and drop our shoulder, that's gonna convince that defender to think we're gonna take the ball to that outside. And then we're gonna take the ball to the inside. So we take the ball, freeze, bait, and then take the ball with the outside of our opposite foot. So we start slowly here. Step 1, freeze the opponent. Step 2, make it seem like we're gonna take the ball with the outside of our foot. Almost graze the ball, keep that foot close, and then drop the knee and drop the shoulder. And then step 3, take the ball with the outside of our opposite foot, and then step 4, accelerate into the space that we've created. Then once we've got that technique, we can piece it all together, add a little bit of match intensity, so it's freeze, off we go. And the final first touch skill is controlling the ball from a 1-2, getting the ball in our stride down the line. This is a really effective way to eliminate opponents without even having to beat them. So the scenario is we've received the ball, the defenders pressured us so much that we now have to start taking the ball backwards. They've closed in on our space, so if we were to take the ball forward, they would immediately go into a 50-50 with us. So we're receiving the ball away from our opponent to protect the ball. So we want to get our body in between the opponent and the ball. So then we're going to make a combination play with our central midfielder once again. And this is a great way that we can distract that defender, get on the opposite side of them, receive the ball, and now we have all that space. So in effect, we've done the exact same job that a 1v1 move would do. We've gotten past the opponent, got the ball on the opposite side, and now we can accelerate with the ball. So let's break this one down step by step. So we need to first recognize that the defender is pressing us aggressively. So step 1 is protecting the ball. So as the ball's on its way, we see that the defender's rushing in, so we get the ball away from them. We take a negative touch, get our body in between the defender and the ball, so now that the ball is protected. Second step is to play that reverse pass. So we've identified our central midfielder, they're available for the pass. We're gonna play that reverse pass, chopping down on the ball with our laces at an angle. And then we're gonna create space by accelerating beyond the defender. Make sure we do this immediately after we play this ball. If we delay this movement, it might cause our central midfielder to have to take a second touch, gives the defenders time to recover. So we wanna make that movement immediate so that the midfielder then knows, I want this ball back with your first touch. And the quicker we do this action, the more space we're gonna have on the opposite side. And then the final step is to then take that first touch and accelerate into the space that we've created. So let's piece it all together here. Protect the ball, get away from our opponent, reverse pass, and accelerate. So there we have it, 5 receiving skills that you can use on the wing to beat your opponent using just your first touch. And just before I go, I want to say another huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where I built my very own website, 7mlctraining.com, and has become the central hub of my entire brand and has really allowed me to take 7mlc training to that next level. It's where I host all of my training programs. So if you want to work on finishing, close control, dribbling, ball mastery, as well as your explosive speed, we've got programs to cover all of those attributes. I'll leave links to them in the description box down below. But if you've ever considered building a website, you don't know where to start, check out Squarespace. And if you use the link in my description, www.squarespace.com/7mlc, you can get 10% off your first website. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video.